Busted you. Ah, it did it again. I hate you, YouTube. I really do. There we
There we
go.
go.
And it crashed.
No!
Stupid YouTube.
Stupid YouTube.
I feel like it's a configuration thing. All right, it's still
By the
live.
way, forget the hell out of the stupid theme song I had. Anyways, hi everybody. It's a little boring without a little bit of intro music in the beginning, but blame YouTube.
Mothman.
We're back to. Before you even try that, sir, remember, it tends to not think that you're actually singing it. So,
Always like the program doesn't pick up singing.
yeah, last night our friend was
Discord.
trying to do some music through Discord, and it just was not happening.
Well, that friend was me.
Yeah, no, you did it one time, then another time. But last night our friend
Well,
was trying
see,
to play
I
more
was
stuff
using
after that.
I was using a guitar, so that I kind of understand. But this is still the human voice.
Yeah, I
What, I
could try
can't sing?
No, won't let you. It doesn't know if you're
I'm
actually
being
just
silenced. I am being
Yes, you
silenced.
are.
I'm writing an angry letter.
Yes, you are. Go ahead, write a letter. They don't care. These people have very little customer service as it is.
They have your money. That's all
It's
they
all
want.
chatbots.
Oh. I can't get it running this way.
Chatbots that don't care.
It crashed again. Alright, F you, YouTube. So,
It
I
crashed.
am. Yeah, YouTube just. It's not the stream. The page
Oh,
just
okay.
crashes. It just crashes. So forget it. We're not going to be using that for the rest of the night. I don't want to fight with that. all
Got
night.
it.
So it's a YouTube issue. It happens to everybody. It's whatever. No music on the intro today. We'll save ourselves that trouble. So, hi everybody. Welcome back from a long October, November break. I am Pumpkin Jack still. I'm never going to drop that title. We are coming out of the Gassy Hallows, and today we're discussing one of the most mid movies I think we've ever seen, with one of the most interesting cryptids of all time. The
That's
Mothman prophecy. It's not a
You
bad
know,
movie,
mid-
but I don't really care.
mid is the best word for this movie.
hmm
Yeah, it's honestly kind of boring.
yeah, it's not a
Yeah.
bad movie. It's just not good. Not interesting.
Exactly. It's not bad. It's just like I just don't think it goes where it should. I just think it's kind of a one-note movie. It's just Anyway, what do you think, Bolt?
I think we're being slightly too harsh, but a lot of it is warranted. I can't sugarcoat it. It put you guys more to sleep than me, and that says a lot.
I tried. I honestly tried because I love Richard Gere, but holy crap, was that an effort? I fell asleep 2 times. I had to reset it. I fell asleep again. I had to reset it. I tried a different day. I tried again. No. And the last one, I'm like, I'm watching my phone more and I'm paying attention to this movie. All right. Let's just
I had
power
only
through.
I had only one night with the movie, and I just like was nodding off, nodding off, nodding off. Oh, bridge, nodding off.
Yep.
I was on Notting Hill the whole time.
Yeah. But, there's no Hugh Grant. So you're like, yeah, this is even more boring. So I gave it the college try. It was a decent, like I will say, everybody in it is trying. Everybody in it is doing the best that they can to deliver a stellar performance. Unfortunately, for a movie about a cryptid, the cryptid is not even like the major subject in this movie. It's treated like some kind of spiritual emphasis. It's weird.
So this movie came out when I was 11. And by then, I was really into cryptids. Like, I watched all the Bigfoot shows on the Discovery Channel. Discovery Channel had this great cryptozoology show called Animal X. Did you ever see this? Maybe
I
it was on
hearing about
Animal.
it.
It might have been on
hearing about
Animal
it.
Planet. Yeah, it might have been on Animal Planet actually, but it was a cryptozoology show, and it had a now that I'm thinking about it, it had an opening that was sort of like the X-Files opening, where you have like that smoke coming up in front of an X. It was like, oh yeah, that's kind of a ripoff of the X-Files, and the theme song was just this creepy sort of ambient background music, like it was creepy. It was a really good show, and so I was into all that stuff. I took out the Bigfoot book from the school library multiple times. Cryptids were my thing. And so when this movie came out, The Mothman Prophecies, I was interested in seeing it. But I remember my dad kind of discouraging it, me from seeing it. So I had never seen it up until this, until preparing for this episode. And I watch it and I'm like, this was not about the Mothman. And then I remember my dad. I hadn't remembered this, but the reason my dad discouraged me from seeing it was he was trying to save me some disappointment. I remember him telling me it's not really about the Mothman, and he was right. It's not about the Mothman.
Everything but the Mothman. It feels.
It's
like.
about, well, it is called the Mothman Prophecies. It's about the prophecies, not the Mothman. There's the Mothman, the man, and then there's the Mothman, the prophecy.
That just sounds like a very polite way of telling me you just gypped me. In 2000, you just took $8 out of my pocket.
In the first part of this broadcast, we will be speaking about the Mothman, the man. Who is the Mothman?
Some mutant fucking moth, apparently, but, you know, as far as this movie wants us to know, the Mothman is some kind of Jesus being that tells the future and tells us about attacks coming our way and does nothing to help us. Just tells us and calls it a day. I don't know. He's ambiguous and gives people brain cancer. Like, that's all I took from this movie. Am I wrong?
Yeah and no. A little bit of maybe, oh, a whole lot of maybe. It's weird because we don't exactly. We only know that he shows selected individuals, um, tragic events beforehand. He gives them the ability of foresight, but not the ability to use it. So it's like, what good is it? Like you have nightmares that are going to happen in real life, and there's nothing you can do about it. Have fun. It's basically what that is. Also, you might have cancer depending on how unlucky you are, or you might bleed from your eyes or from your ears. You might lose your marriage. Actually, no, that's another thing that will definitely happen. You will, if you're married, you're going to lose your marriage.
Yeah,
Kind of
and
messed up.
like the people only understand the prophecies once the prophecy is fulfilled. Like no one, I mean, maybe I was asleep, but I don't recall the prophecy ever really doing its job of actually being a warning.
No, because he doesn't say anything. He says, I'll be back on this day. And then disappears. But that's not even the Mothman. That's the other side of that pisses me off. It's not even the Mothman that says it. It's just it's another cryptid character that this author created. Indrid Cold.
It's another disembodied voice.
Yeah.
Or it's just a disembodied voice. And what's funny is that, okay, so I could say in real life, but we're talking about witness accounts and stories from people who have supposedly had encounters with cryptids. So I always kind of qualify real life when we're talking about that sort of thing. But anyway, in real life, people were having visions that were a lot more specific and a lot clearer than what you see in the movie. Like there was this woman that was interviewed in the book who had a dream in the month prior to the bridge collapse that she had a vision of cars and Christmas presents floating in the Ohio River, and she thought there was going to be some kind of disaster. And we don't get anything that clear in the movie. The movie is just like, it gets like confused and bogged down in its own subtlety. And I really like subtlety in movies, and I like movies that aren't necessarily horror movies, but are more creepy movies. But this one, it's just a little too floaty. I think it's a floaty movie, but we should probably provide some background on what we're talking about with the eyewitness accounts and with the bridge collapse before we really start talking about that as it relates to the movie.
Allow me. Let's go this. Mothman Prophecies was a film. I don't even remember the year. I think this came out 2002?
2002.
2002.
Yep.
Yes, Mothman Prophecies came out in 2002, starring Richard Gere and Laura Linney, who a lot of people seem to forget who she is. I'm not kidding. I watched it with my wife. She was like, do I know that lady? I'm like, Laura Linney. Who is she? She comes out in a lot of your rom-coms.
So my wife said something similar. When she came up in the opening credits, my wife was like, "Laura Linney," and then when Laura Linney shows up, my wife's like, "That's not Laura Linney."
Yeah, I'm like, that is her. She's like, "No, it's not." Okay.
She didn't believe it.
Like, all right, you can choose to disbelieve me or not. We live in a world where a president went down on another president, rumored. So yeah, that's what's going on on today's planet. Allegedly.
We'll see about that.
Allegedly.
That's one that I just kind of refuse to believe, but we'll
I
see.
know it's out of there. It's out there in the fucking ether though. Like I heard that on the news. Like that's the thing I heard on the news. It's rumored on the news everywhere. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So if they don't know who Laura Linney is anymore and they don't recognize him, I don't blame them. Like let's just say that. Laura Linney falls into the sea of blonde-haired women in Hollywood, especially in that era. She's there with Jennifer Aniston, the wench, and the other unfunny, talented wench from fucking... I even forgot her stupid name. She's so ugly. Anyways, we'll go back to the point. Richard Gere, yeah, it was on the news. So yeah, Richard Gere basically loses his wife, the other psychotic person from Will and Grace. That lady lost her mind over that election last week now. So that's why her being crazy kind of like did not age well. I don't know if you heard about that. She like lost her fuck. So when Mamdani got elected mayor, this lady like started tweeting like these massive amounts of like messages about like these anti-Islamic rhetoric and fear and shit. And then when I saw her in this movie, I'm like, that aged badly. That
it sure did. It sure did.
I don't know. So, and my wife's like, "Oh, is that the lady from Will and Grace?" I go, "Yeah." She never just come back, huh? I'm like, "No, not Julia Roberts. What's this woman's name? I can't remember her name right now. She falls that low on the totem pole. The lady from this movie. Who's his wife? Who's the actress who plays his wife?
Deborah Messing.
Deborah Messing.
Yeah, Deborah Messing.
Yeah, the attractive redhead that dies.
I see. I only know her from the Hanukkah song.
Oh,
it's something like say the Hanukkah blessing. And Will and Grace's Deborah Messing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Adam Sandler needs to update that song again. So,
yeah, he only did 3. He's got to do another one.
He did another one, including Jonah Hill's badass. So, anyways, as we go back to it, this movie is boring.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jonah Hill did heal Kanye West's anti-Semitism, so he deserves a whole Hanukkah song himself.
Hey, when did that happen?
That's a whole other thing. Kanye West said that he was no longer that he no longer had a problem with Jewish people after watching Jonah Hill in 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
Oh, that interview. Okay, yeah, move along.
Anyway, yes.
So, anyways, back to the most boring movie. The most boringly non-offensive movie we've ever watched. Like, there's just nothing happening here, so we can't really talk too much shit about it. So
I can't even get angry at it.
I can't either. I have to go get some water in a bit. Anyways. Basically, the point is his wife dies at the beginning. She's drawing weird paintings because she sees the Mothman. She nopes the hell out of this boring movie like really quickly into just like a 2-second cameo. She's out, and then it's just him being confusing and walking around the city being more confused as to how he ended up there, and now you're in a really lame episode of the X-Files with Final Destination. That's this movie's plot. A tragedy. It's like a long mystery setup for a Final Destination plot, and that's it. No Mothman.
Well, see, I'm sorry. I think that the movie has a really good setup because I just like really loved the scene where, he's driving through. He heads out on the road with the intention of driving from DC to Richmond, but somehow he ends up in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, without really knowing how he got there. His car mysteriously stops working, and then he goes up and he bangs on this farmhouse door at 3 a.m. And the guy comes out furious with a gun and he points it at Richard Gere. And apparently this is the third time that Richard Gere has done this exact thing. Gone to this very house at 3 a.m., knocking on the door saying that his car had broken down. And Richard Gere has no memory of this. And we learn that the man's wife remembers the door being knocked on at 3 in the morning, but she doesn't remember seeing Richard Gere as the one that knocks on the door. So it really does. It's really set up as this delicious mystery. Like, it's like, what exactly is happening here? But again, it kind of turns into just sort of like a dry, one note, sort of supernatural. Not even a thriller. Like, it's meant to be a thriller, but it's not very thrilling. So maybe that's the problem. It's an unthrilling thriller. But anyway, I had this thought that who would have been a better director? Like, if you put this in someone else's hands, who could have done something more? Who could have done something more interesting with it?
Quick question. And that era or nowadays?
Oh, you mean in 2002? Oh,
yeah.
Let's start with that and then go nowadays. So first, early aughts. Who would have done a better job?
Early aughts, you would have given this movie to anybody. I would have probably given it to. I know this guy's name off the top of my head because he was already active in the early aughts. Oh, shit! Twin Peaks. I know this guy's name. I just can't remember.
David Lynch.
Yes, David Lynch. I think would have knocked us out of the park. David Lynch or the dude who did Fight Club. I'm trying to remember his name too right off the top of my head.
David Fincher.
David Fincher. Yeah, the Finches. One of the two would have done a decent job for this one.
One of the Davids. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the Davids would have did a better job of this one.
Yeah.
Because they're good at capturing that sort of like creepy, gritty mood that I think they were going for. And I also think they wouldn't have called it the Mothman Prophecies. They might have just switched to something else in name.
I was thinking M. Night Shyamalan. I was thinking M. Night Shyamalan. That would have been a risk. It would have been a risk. But his first 3 movies, or I guess his first 4 movies, are really solid. And then he came back. He came back a few years ago. I think it was 2015 where he had his comeback movie. But, like, it's still in his, like, this movie came out, like, in his sweet spot. So, it could have been good.
Honestly, yes, because, like, had he done this a bit of mix of Signs and The Sixth Sense, I think we would have had a much better thing. I also think Richard Gere might have been able to work better.
Yeah, well, I love The Village. So I think his first 4 films are Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, Signs, and The Village. And I think there's been a kind of like a renaissance of fandom. Thank you. Of Village fandom, and I am on that train. I think the Village is great.
So I liked The Village when I first saw it, and then over time I kind of grew lukewarm to it. I didn't.
Here's the thing. I hated it when I first saw it. Now I love it.
I liked the concept. And that's kind of the thing with that movie. It's like this one too. The concept works, but it's poorly executed. Poorly executed concept will kill a movie.
Yeah. But the movie, The Mothman Prophecies, it fictionalizes things in a clever way. So, in the movie, John Klein is a politics reporter. He's a journalist. He appears on TV to give commentary on elections. He is not at all into the paranormal. That is very different from the real guy, who was John Keel. John Keel, who was already doing paranormal investigations. This was like his full-time thing. And he was already in that part of the country, like the Rust Belt area, and doing UFO research. And he went to Point Pleasant very intentionally to investigate the Mothman sightings. And I think that even though, as a kid, I probably would have liked it better if they just stayed true to the real events and had him like a paranormal investigator, like made the main character a paranormal investigator who's going to try to find the Mothman. As an adult, I think it's a more interesting setup to have him be just like a straight shooter, like a normal journalist, not into spooky stuff at all, and have him kind of dragged into it, because part of the mystery that it sets up is, why did the Mothman choose him? Why was he led to Point Pleasant? Why was it his wife? And that really, I think that's a better way of hooking you in. And again, it's frustrating because it really hooked me in, but then it didn't give me much of a payoff. So it is a little bit of a frustrating movie, but again, that's one of the ways in which I think it cleverly fictionalizes the actual events.
So Klein's book, Keel's book, as an entirety, has been debunked. Like, a lot of it has been debunked. It's stuff that's inspired by real events, to my understanding, Keel's book. Because a lot of the people that came out were like, we didn't really need to do this. We didn't really say any of that. He's just kind of twisting stuff for the sake of a good story. Which, I'll give him credit. I just kind of sit there and say, hey, 60-something people did die on that bridge, and you're kind of making a story out of it. So that's where I'm a little like, yeah, on that. When it comes to the story here, too, he mentioned in the book, to my understanding, something called Indrid Cold. Excuse me. Indrid Cold is mentioned in the book as the guy who's calling, and in the movie he's the guy who's calling, and then there's another name given for Indrid Cold in other storylines. The Smiling Man. Right?
So why is Indrid Cole calling?
Well, it's a completely different entity that the director for this movie chose to mix in as one. The Indrid Cold as like the voice of the Mothman. But in reality, like, the Mothman was some kind of like weird being that had large wings and could chase people. Indrid Cold is the one that guy apparently saw in real life. What's his name? That first guy, he saw Indrid Cold in real life. Herman something, the dude who got the door knocked on.
Herman Munster, right?
Yeah, Herman Munster. Well, you see, I saw the booth, and then we gave him some water and told him along his way, because we're good folk. We're good folk down here. Anyway. But anyways, like, he saw that thing, and when he saw that thing, he's the one who went back saying, like, yeah, that thing is weird. It keeps knocking on my door. It doesn't look quite right. It doesn't look quite human. So after a while, the last thing that he says he saw is that he saw him walk up to his car in the middle of the night. He was all smiling and shit. And that's how Indrid Cold gets the secondary name as the Smiling Man, right? Excuse me. So he gets the secondary name as the Smiling Man that way. It's weird. But what I find interesting is Indrid Cold is a much more intricate part of the story here than the actual Mothman. We don't really see much of the Mothman through any of this movie. They're not one and the same.
If you're going in for a creature feature, you will be sorely disappointed.
Yeah, it's not that at all. And a lot of the stuff that people like, you know what I was hoping to see? At least like a reenactment of one of the first sightings of the Mothman that these folks reported back in the 60s, where like the first sighting, right? You're probably more familiar with it than I am, where the people showed up, they were driving around, and then they saw something big in the fucking bushes, and then it was chasing them around in the middle of the night. They're able to keep up with the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately for this movie, the closest you're going to see to the Mothman are those editing shots where you have like two red like lights that are supposed to function as the eyes associated with the Mothman, and like a lot of shadow that like forms into a sort of like either angelic or like monster like figure. And they're always in like transitioning. That's the closest we're ever going to get for the Mothman to be in this Mothman Prophecies film, which says a lot. It's a nice effect.
I've always liked. Oh, sorry. Okay. I've always liked the imagery of the Mothman, like that classic representation where it's some version of a black silhouette with wings and red eyes. Because I just think that when you compare it to other cryptids, it's just the creepiest. It has the creepiest classic image. Like with Bigfoot is just a gorilla that walks on two legs. That's pretty much it. And in artistic renderings of Bigfoot, paintings, drawings, you get like a really, really detailed ape face, and more or less you just see the entire creature. But with Mothman is always, or at least in the classic images, he's just a silhouette, just a shadowy silhouette, and it's just like the cryptid is just more shrouded in mystery. And that's not the only way in which it's a more mysterious cryptid. It sits on this boundary between like cryptid and ghost, or cryptid and legend, because it people saw it, and they saw it flying. It appeared to people, but it also has this it had part of the legend is that it's a harbinger of doom. So the idea was that people were seeing the Mothman as an omen of the bridge collapse that would happen about a year after the first sightings. And so there's a supernatural element to Mothman that you don't necessarily have with Bigfoot. Like, some people associate Bigfoot with orbs and UFOs and think that Bigfoot is an interdimensional being, but there's a lot of people that just think that Bigfoot is just a flesh and blood ape. There's no like essential supernatural element to Bigfoot, but with Mothman, like that's a core part of the story. And another thing is that Mothman, it makes me it's a more intriguing mystery as a cryptid than Bigfoot, because at this point, I think the jig is pretty much up on Bigfoot, because we've been since that Patterson Gimlin film in the late 60s, like that gold standard of Bigfoot footage, or big footage, I guess. We've been thanks. We've been waiting on that body. We've been waiting on that DNA sample We've been really hoping and praying that we get some physical evidence, and just nothing has turned up. And it's just a mystery that will, I don't know, eventually peter out, I guess. But with Mothman, there was a year's time where there were a bunch of sightings, and it led up to one event, and then after that event, it stopped. So, for those who don't know, the Mothman sightings, they started in the Point Pleasant, West Virginia area. Well, the first sighting was on November 15th, 1966, and uh, there were many people that filed reports of seeing this, big shadowy figure with wings and red eyes, or some variation on that, with some frequency throughout that year. And then on the 15th of December 1967, the Silver Bridge collapsed. The Silver Bridge was a bridge that basically connected Ohio and West Virginia. It goes over the Ohio border, and it's just one way of getting over the Ohio River from West Virginia into Ohio, and vice versa. But that bridge collapsed, and then after the bridge collapsed, the sightings stopped. So Mothman has a very, very specific story with a beginning and an end. And after the bridge collapse, he just vanishes. He's gone, like Kaiser Soze. And that makes it more mysterious, because it's like ongoing Mothman sightings are not part of the story of Mothman. Like, ongoing Bigfoot sightings are a part of Bigfoot. Bigfoot is supposed to be something that's out there, and people see it once in a while, and hopefully will eventually find it. Some say. But with Mothman, it's like we can't go back in time. We can't go back in time to Point Pleasant, West Virginia in 1966, 67, and reinvestigate. It's like it happened and then it disappeared into time. So in that way, I think it's just kind of like a more intriguing mystery, and it makes you think, well, maybe something cryptid-ish did happen.
So, I was actually going to interject a bit here. There is some truth to the weirdness behind the collapse of the bridge. So, apparently, in real life, the 13th peg did fail. And then when that peg failed, it was a domino effect, and the bridge went down. The bridge went down like the Mothman does in the literotica books that we're hearing about in the comment section over here. There are 4 Mothman literotica books out there for anybody curious to read those. Anyways, back to where we were at before, just acknowledging that there is Mothman porn. And there are sick people who want to read Mothman porn. Anyways, back to it. Yeah, sorry, an opinion, sir? On the Mothman porn.
See, if you asked me, is there such a thing as Mothman porn? I would have said, most definitely. But I choose not to think about it.
Yeah.
Good answer.
It was like in college when I found out there was ET porn. Some YouTuber made a parody video about it, and I'm like, oh, there's a thing I could have lived my whole life without having seen. I'll never recapture my innocence. The little last shred of it that was left when I saw that. That's a thing. People bought that and beat it off to it. So, anyways, back to where we were at. So there is like a lot of strange things though that are rumored about it. Yeah, that's what I said. So, anyways, there are some strange things though about the Mothman out there though that a lot of people don't really know actually did happen. The 13th peg did fail. There were a lot of weird sightings around the time that the bridge fell that were being reported like concurrently at the time, which led a lot of people to ask a lot of questions. there's a lot of theories as to what people really saw because there are just a view. There are people doing it. Just trust me. Anyways, so there are people who are out there that were pretty much saying like, "Hey, look, we did see something weird. We don't know what it was." Ultimately, though, forensics stated that the bridge was just poor deterioration.
Mhm.
That's all it was. It wasn't that some being pulled the 13th peg out from the top and it collapsed the bridge.
Yeah. So one explanation is that the bridge was poorly maintained, and also the bridge was built in 1928.
Mm-hmm.
The collapse happened in 1967. Cars apparently had gotten a lot heavier
Mm-hmm.
in those years in between. So the bridge was built for a certain average weight of cars, and that had just changed since. And the bridge just wasn't built for cars that were typical in 1967.
It wasn't updated. Like
Yeah.
some of the city pounders said, like we failed to update the bridge, and it also wasn't built to the volume of traffic because it was built when cars were an uncommon thing, and it
Mhm.
just got undone. Poor maintenance. So that part was true. There is something else. We got the fly. Actually, they just had another one. The Baxter Stockman. So to my
Oh no.
understanding, no, like to my understanding, Baxter Stockman was sort of inspired by it, but he's actually inspired by that other movie that came out, The Fly. Like all that stuff is more so just body horror at the time. What I can
Mhm.
actually say that Mothman did inspire is a lot of the Stephen King stuff because
Oh
it's
yeah.
like that part of the Northeast where people are acting a bit
Mhm.
fucking weird and they're seeing a lot of weird shit. And to my understanding, kids were actually seeing a lot of weird shit at the time. But it's like, why? Because kids are out there playing and kids are out there seeing it. Uh, which is why we got most of the descriptions, right? Supposedly, kids are the ones that gave most of the descriptions because they're out there playing in the woods at night, playing in the woods during the day, and they can see some weird stuff. Uh, which is what we're gonna go into the next thing. John, you know more or less. What do you think this was for real? Like, if you had to give a real explanation as to what you thought the Mothman was, what do you think it is?
Well, one explanation that was offered by a wildlife biologist at, I believe, was it the University of West Virginia? Let's say it was. Um, Robert Smith. And Robert Smith said that it was probably something called a sandhill crane. So, sandhill cranes are, if you've seen if you've seen like Japanese watercolor paintings of cranes, they're like that, just a version that's in North America.
I will
They're
actually pull one up on the screen for our viewers at home.
cool, cool. Or if you've ever seen, or if you've ever seen a stork, it's kind of like a stork but with a shorter bill. So not quite as good at delivering babies. Anyway, but they stand between they stand at the most 4 feet tall, and so they're a fairly large bird. Actually, in Colorado, we have a sandhill crane festival. You can go in March every year. You can go down to you can go down to Monte Vista in southern Colorado, and you can go to the Sandhill Crane Festival because they're migratory and extremely social. So they travel in huge groups. And this is one of those rare wildlife festivals where you go there and you actually will see the, the animals. The sandhill cranes, they congregate in these grain fields, and they just land at a place that's very visible. You can watch them from fairly close. Don't get too close, but like you can get a really good look at them. And there's just like thousands of them out in the grain fields, eating up barley and wheat seeds. It's great. It's really fun. Anyway, but um, They're they're pretty widely distributed across North America and the United States, but not so much in not so much in the Point Pleasant area, not so much in West Virginia. If you look at a map of their range, you'll see that there's a migration corridor that goes right by West Virginia. So it goes through like the middle of Ohio, but it doesn't go quite into West Virginia. So they migrate in neighboring states, but they don't usually go into West Virginia. What I don't know if it was Robert Smith that said this, but I have heard elsewhere that what might have happened was a sandhill crane, an individual sandhill crane, got lost from its migration route because, you know, like when birds migrate, they're roughly kind of following each other, and you know, like they're roughly following these as established migration routes. But you can imagine sometimes one gets lost, and West Virginia isn't too far away from that eastern migration corridor. So maybe what happened was a sandhill crane went AWOL, went astray, and ended up in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, which is right on the western side of the state. Like I said, it's right on the Ohio border. But a poor little crane might have gotten lost from his crane friends, ended up in West Virginia, showed up at night, and so you've got people who may have never seen a sandhill crane before in their lives, and they see this thing at night, and they think, oh, and their imagination does some wild things. Maybe they see this thing that they've never recognized before, and they kind of conflate it. They kind of conflate it in their imagination with movie monsters that they've seen before, and boom, you have Mothman. And actually, if you, Jack, if you could get a picture of a sandhill crane up from the front view.
Boom.
Yes. This is going to be like a... Yeah, this is going to be like a courtroom-like demonstration, as you see here. Yeah, that one's pretty good. So you see how the crest is shaped. So the crest, it kind of, it's heart-shaped. When you see when you see the bird from the front, or when you look at it from above, the crest on top of its head, it's bright red and it's heart-shaped. So you can kind of see how maybe if someone saw that at night, their imagination would make that into two red eyes.
Also, if you take a picture of it, like that's the other thing, right? The way bird eyes look, a lot of people don't think about it.
Mm-hmm.
A bird eye in the middle of the night, they kind of glow, and they kind of have a reflective aura to them. They're just reflective. If it's reflecting the color off of the shine, it can come out red. And if you take a picture of it, especially with 60s cameras, the eye looks funky and red when you see it up close. Be right here if I can get a shot of it at night. Bingo. Right. There's a shot of it at night.
Oh, that's terrifying. Yeah. Well, see, I mean, that's with a camera.
Yeah, see
that's with a camera. But... Yeah, see, but that's with a camera. We're not talking. But these people weren't looking at photographs. They were seeing it with just their eyes, with just the naked human eye.
Imagine you're driving your truck in the middle of the night, and this thing springs up and starts, following your truck around because it's lost. I think I freak the fuck out too. You know?
Yeah. And yet I also have to believe that even if someone sees a bird that they've never seen before, they know that it's a bird. Right? Like if you saw if you saw a flamingo for the first time, it would look pretty weird, but you would know that it was a bird.
Oh, look, it's a pink chicken.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go.
So it's like I do have I do have to think that maybe it's a little far fetched to think that people would make that mistake. The other thing about that first sighting is that so what happened? We can go through the first sighting. So the sightings tended to cluster around this this area called TNT near Point Pleasant. And the TNT area was given that name was because it was an ammunition manufacturing site during World War II. And in that area, they have these concrete domes that the locals called igloos. And the igloos were where they would keep the explosives because you have to keep those things separately and under pretty tight protected conditions. Anyway, but so the sightings often clustered around there, and the first sighting was on the 15th of November, 1966, and this one is called the Mallet Scarberry sighting. So, two couples, Roger and Linda Scarberry, Steve and Mary Mallet, two young married couples were hanging out at this
Swinging.
area, the TNT area, and then just like the Mothman just appears. It's this tall figure with wings and freaks them out. So they hop into the car and they try to get away from it. But the creature, it pursues them. It pursues them at speeds of up to 100 miles per hour. And all the while, it's making a shrieking sound. This very high-pitched shrieking sound. So they're gunning down the road in their 1957 black Chevy. And the Mothman is, whatever this creature is, it's keeping up with them. So, and they said that this creature was about 6 to 7 feet tall. With two muscular, like, kind of humanoid legs. And, in this book that I'm looking at, it says that the wings that were on its back were bat-like. I don't know how accurate that is. I haven't heard that in other retellings of this event. But anyway, so a few things that really don't sound very Sandhill Crane-ish. 6 to 7 feet tall. Like I said, the tallest that Sandhill Cranes get is about 4 feet. And
I was actually I just had a graphic up that pointed out that they can actually be up to 5.
Really?
Greater
Okay.
Sandhill Crane can be up to 5, a little bigger.
Okay, that's getting a little closer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, so the size maybe isn't that far-fetched, but the speed is impressive. I do not think that Sandhill Cranes can go 100 miles per hour. And also the sound. I would have to look into this a bit more, but the sound that I hear Sandhill Cranes make when I go to that crane festival in southern Colorado, it's like a fluttery sound. It's like it's almost like kind of like a pigeon with a deep voice, that kind of thing. But it's still relatively high. It's still relatively high. But it's more you just have to hear it. It's like this guttural chirp. It's an interesting sound, and you can hear it like when there's thousands of them flying overhead. It's just a soundscape of these guttural chirps. It's really, really a beautiful experience. But high-pitched squeaking sounds. Does that sound actually? Maybe that could be. High-pitched squeaking? Yeah,
Honestly,
squeaking I think could be a word for the sound that they make. So maybe actually that might actually fit with the crane theory. But again, the speed, 100 miles an hour, that's not crane territory.
So I actually think it's the other contender that people claim it could have been. There's an owl that's supposedly out by West Virginia, the Stygian owl.
What's it called?
The Stygian owl. I'll actually put in a picture of it right now. Pull up a picture of it and share with everybody. They're known to be pretty big too. They can go. Just make sure I get the size, max size. Pull it up to show you. I saw the size online. I'm like, you know what? In all fairness, that looks like it could be one. It's the Stygian owl and the great horned owl. They can grow up to about 18 inches, and at night, sometimes these owls look pretty fucking big when they extend out.
Mm-hmm.
Also, don't forget that the human eyeball tends to, when it's afraid, tends to make things look a lot bigger than they really are, and your body, your brain accentuates things out of fear. They call it the devil's owl. When you see what it looks like, you'll be like, yeah, I can totally see that. Let's get you up. Why can't I get a big picture anymore? What the hell? There's a bunch of pictures of this thing. When they take the picture of it, it looks really effing weird. But I can see it potentially also keeping up. Tab. Pop that. Whatever the hell. We're just going to pile it up this way.
You can also hold control and then use like a mouse to kind of scroll up to increase the size.
So, this is the Stygian or the horned owl. See it? I'm going to take a picture of it.
Ooh.
When you flash a light in its eyes or flash a light in its direction. This is what it looks like on the regular.
That's freaking wild.
But when you flash a light in its eyes, that's what it looks like.
Holy shit. I have never seen red eye shine.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was an animal that had red eye shine. That's incredible.
Very exclusive to this one. So
really?
And when you see more images of it, see it at night
there's got to be all sorts of interesting things to find out about their eyes and how the just like how the lens is structured and what kind of cells are in its eyes that produce that color.
Yeah, it's a trip. I only got to look at it a little bit, but you see these shots of it right here. When you see this, you're like, wait a minute. A lot of the descriptions of the Mothman, when you start to look at them in comparison, right, to owls and stuff, like the Mothman descriptions, it looks like it's an owl. See, the people from drawing imagery, it looks more like owl like. See, like this is one of the OG pictures that's always like that they think they saw. It looks more like this, and it matches. Boom, right there, the horns, all that stuff. My theory is it's probably an abnormally large one. Animals can have abnormalities at times. They can be pretty big. For all we know, it might have been one animal, one big ass owl that was just flying through. People in the 60s, it was less light pollution. People saw it. People freaked out. Yeah. And like reading in chat, like birds, when humans have eyes, actually with our eyes, when it flashes, it's like a weird gold that comes off of our pictures. It's like a weird gold bronze. This thing is like cherry red, right? It's like blood red.
Yeah, that's
right.
That's alarming.
If you've never, especially like people back in the day, they didn't go out at night like that. Especially people out in places like West Virginia. So you imagine you're driving your truck out. Maybe you're out for like a little romantic moonlight stroll. You flash up and you see this shit looking at you.
Yeah,
it looks bigger. It looks bigger and like to your brain because you're getting scared of it. But in reality, this thing is just, it's there. It's terrifying.
Yeah, your brain is kind of exaggerating what it sees to motivate you to get out of there, just in case it's something that's going to hurt you.
Yes, it is hostile, but to me, you flash a light at this thing, take a picture of it. There's not cell phones, right? It's not like it can come back and fix the image. People also back in the day, in the 60s especially, they didn't sometimes even finish high school. They got like their GEDs and went to go work the mines or the plants. So it's not out of the ordinary for somebody to be like, oh yeah, I saw something creepy, and then it's this owl, because they probably didn't even bother taking a literature class, and then boom.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, like, we don't mean this in a condescending way, but we live in a time where people just know more about the rest of the country than they used to. So like we just have the internet, we have pictures, we have funny videos of we have funny videos of animals that we share all the time. So we just the average person knows more about wildlife and places in other parts of the country and the world than the average person in 1967 did.
Yep. I mean, if you want like a real example as to how I hate using wrestling as an example, but it's the best I can give. Back in the day, there was a big rivalry. This is just to show you how the culture moved at the time. You had the Von Erichs out of Texas and these other asswebs out of Georgia. I can't remember their names right now. But these guys had a big rivalry of Texans versus Georgians. And it was like this huge thing, right? It felt like you're talking about people from two different countries and they're two different states in the same damn country. But they made it a big deal. So if people would treat Texas, like, and I saw this when I was in Missouri, like people saw my place from New York, they're like, all the way from there? I'm like, yeah. Like, I wouldn't be caught dead in this place if I didn't have to be out here for work, but yeah. They treat it like it's a completely different country and our states have different cultures and it's like very different all around. That's just how disconnected we can be, even though we're all in the same damn place.
Mm-hmm.
People don't know the wildlife sometimes in their own backyards. Nevertheless, something out of state. So if some, like a crane flies through a Virginian's area, the reason why we probably stopped seeing Mothman sightings was because it happened during Christmas and it probably flew south for the winter and figured out its pattern. Or some crazy hunter guy just shot it. Like, oh, this is a weird bird. The game warden's not going to be too happy with this. Just bury it, Bill. Nobody will find it. Let it go.
Well, at that time, the TNT area had been made into a wildlife preserve. Like it used to be. It used to be where they manufactured ammunition, but since being disused, it was made into a wildlife preserve. So, if the crane was going to be anywhere, it was going to be there, or in one of the farm fields nearby.
Yeah, and at the farm field, that's the other thing too. I'm going to say a big cultural thing here. I don't mean to sound like a racist, but this is why I don't believe that the Mothman was some kind of mutant. Because in places like West Virginia, almost everybody has a rifle. There's a rifle in every house. Because this is farmland, this is the wild. Like, you could walk outside and there could be a pack of wolves. You better have the rifle ready, right? You never know. So,
I think I read somewhere that the day after the first sighting, there was already a hunting party that had formed.
Yep, because that's welcome to America, right? Especially in those days. Nothing else to do. No Call of Duty in the 60s. So they all turn around and go, all right, we got a reason to use this. Clack, clack. And out they go, right? So I sit there and I go, you know what must have happened? That first hunting party must have seen something weird and they probably fucking shot it. When they shot it, they probably turned around and said, yo, do we have a permit to shoot this? No. You guys got beer on you? Yeah. Who's got a shovel? Ah, man, I got a better idea. Just take it home, pluck it, and dismember it and fucking throw it in the trash. We'll never deal with this again.
Yeah, and it's a migratory bird, and the Migratory Bird Act goes back to like 1927. So
yeah. Like,
oh
shit,
trouble.
We shot this. I didn't shoot this. Let's just put this away. Let's call it a day. Like it's weird, right? Like I sound like I'm dismissing the whole thing, but it's America. Like what? We talked about it in Train to Busan the other day. How do you know it's like in a foreign film? Because nobody has a gun. In America, everybody has a gun at some point in time. So
the biggest difference between American and foreign zombie movies is in America, everybody has a gun to bring to the zombies.
Yep.
So if you're going to be anywhere for the zombie apocalypse, be in the good old US of A.
Yeah, just don't be where I live in the fucking Queens because it's overcrowded. We're going to get killed here just because it's overcrowded.
Oh, yeah. No.
But my point being, right, like it's funny when you think about it. This whole thing was probably some hunters saw it, shot it, and they said, oh, hell no. People won't notice, right? This will all go away. A year later, the fucking bridge falls. Like, people aren't going to stop looking now. But that's honestly my the most honest opinion I could possibly give is if it was a crane, they might have shot it. If it was an owl, they might have shot it. And both of these
And then
things you can't really be and both of these things you can't shoot. I don't think you can shoot an owl neither, right? Unless it's like self defense. And owls don't really bother people. So like you can't really go around and shoot owls.
I can't imagine a situation in which I would have to defend myself from an owl.
There's one story I've heard. But it wasn't that the owl was going after a person. The lady had a chihuahua or some shit that she let out to pee. When she let the thing out to pee, because it was people were visiting from New York, the fucking owl thought it was a rat or some shit, swooped down, and this thing was really big. So luckily, the lady's cousin who she was visiting had the rifle right there and shot the owl to save the dog.
Damn.
Like he tried to fire a warning shot. They tried to fire a warning shot, and the owl didn't give a fuck because owls aren't that smart. They're pretty stupid. Go ask Daniel Radcliffe. He said that owl bit him and clawed him a whole bunch of fucking times and used a live one. So he's like, the owl didn't take the buckshot, and he shot the owl, and the owl flew off. And the chihuahua like got scared and like ran in circles when they went to go grab it. But it's like, this is a freak incident. How often do you really hear these stories, right? People don't let chihuahuas out.
It just goes to show you, be prepared for owls. I'll be right back.
So yes, Mothman. Oh boy. That's probably what most likely happened. A bunch of drunk rednecks went out, shot it by accident. They're like, oh shit. We gotta put this thing away. Like what? This is what terrorizes the town, right? Yeah, but it's an actual bird. I don't think we want the wildlife department coming down here giving us fines and shit. We don't need that. We don't need Will Ferrell from Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back to harass the town. Just fucking bury it and call it a day. They were the symbol of wisdom, it's true, but it's because they look very pensive and their eyes are very big, so they can, in theory, read a lot. But I've heard from like a lot of Hollywood productions that when they have to handle owls, they're not very smart. Like they're not a very you can't really train them or domesticate them much. You can't really do much with an owl. Like owls are they're very simple minded. They're like you know, right? Like how you can train a falcon, right, to go like deliver letters and shit. You can't do that with an owl. You train an owl you can't do anything with those things. Like that's how it is.
Owls, the goldfish of birds.
Yes.
Can't teach them much. Maybe a few simple things, but not much. So I think this just occurred to me. They their eyes look like spectacles, and we associate spectacles with intelligence.
Therefore, it's like the wide eye.
Yeah, they're also they're solitary. I've never seen an owl hanging out with other owls. Like in a zoo or a wildlife rehab center, maybe, but I've never seen two owls just hanging out. So they do, and they're often just kind of like sitting up in a tree by themselves, as if they're the wise man in the mountain that you've been looking for to go seek out the meaning of life from. It's just, they do kind of just have this air of wisdom and intelligence about them. Also, like, did anybody actually really think that owls were wise? Like, did anybody actually expect to go up to an owl and like hear some wisdom? They can't talk. How can they be wise if they can't talk? So
in some cultures, to my understanding, they're like how they would have visions back in the day.
Yeah.
So like the vision was that the owl brought them knowledge and that the owl was pensive. But it's down to the eyes and that kind of like sort of intense stare that it has is what leaves that impression on us. The typical owls
they're the animal symbol, like how the coyote is trickster.
Yeah. Yeah, like, there's stuff about them, and it's funny, but in reality, like, when you talk to folks that handle owls, they're like, nah, they're big, but they're pretty. You're not that smart. It's one of the biggest
Yes.
ironies in the world. Like some people find this animal, I can't remember what it's called right now, to be so cute, but it's really otters. Like people think otters are like
Otters.
oddly
Yeah.
cute and domesticated, and it's like, oh man, otters are assholes. Don't ever
They're
try
aggressive.
to approach. Yeah, they're aggressive and they're assholes. Like don't go near an otter thinking it's cute. They're not cute. They're not.
Mm.
You're better off
Heard
petting a
the same-
shark before you go pet an otter or a dolphin. Like dolphins are assholes.
Heard the same thing about koalas.
Yeah, like don't. Koalas, pandas, dolphins, otters.
Pandas.
Foxes. Yeah.
Pandas
They
are
not
bad
nice.
news.
Yeah.
No, because koalas will scratch you up, an otter will bite you, but a panda can kill you. But like,
Yeah, they'll fucking kill you because they don't want to deal with you. They're very
Yeah.
like introverted ass animals.
they're bears.
Yeah,
They're bears.
Hippos.
Like, yeah.
Another one's fucking hippos. Go ask a Colombian
hippos.
person if they like hippos. They'll go tell you, go fuck yourself. Hippos are eating their wild stock over there because some of them were in that. The drug hippos are eating Colombian fucking wild stock right now because they were in an abandoned drug lord's zoo. They bred like crazy. They busted the cages down. Now they're wreaking havoc on the livestock. These people are like, oh, we didn't fucking do it. They didn't let us put them down. Nobody took care of them. Now we have this problem. And what the fuck are you gonna do against a 2-ton hippo? Nothing. What your bullets bounce off the fucking thing?
I
Let's
have to
just
imagine
assume that
if-
don't mess with the animal kingdom. Just as a safe rule of thumb, don't mess with the animal kingdom.
I do have to think that it's easier to get rid of a non-native large mammal than like a non-native butterfly or a non-native grass or a flower. Like when you have non-native mussels or clams, those things breed like crazy, and they're small and they're in the water. They're hard to see. They're hard to find. The way they breed is they have these tiny microscopic larvae, and so like they're small. They're in an inconspicuous spot, and they breed very rapidly. Whereas hippos are big, obvious, and they breed slowly. So I have to think that the hippo problem, if it's starting to be a problem, is a problem for lack of effort on the part of the Colombian government, because
Well-
that shouldn't be hard to get rid of if they really took it seriously.
Well, that's the problem, right? The moment the Colombian government goes, all right, boys, get your pitchforks and get your guns. Out comes 3 or 4 guys. Excuse us. You need to let us round them up and take them to preserves. No, we don't. Yes, you do. It's animals' rights. And then next thing you know, like, meanwhile, the farmer's like, hey, man, this thing is destroying my fucking house. Can I at least shoot the one going by my house? No. Okay? Don't look up, I
The
guess.
moment they, the moment they get a taste of hippo ribeye, they will change their minds.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, so that's where we are with that one. I honestly think, in my opinion, it's an owl. The Mothman was an owl, though. My humble opinion. I think it was an owl, and just a viewer made a very interesting point too, is that everyone involved had to keep that shit a secret. Nobody talked for decades. Well, I'm gonna make a statement here. Again, I'm gonna sound like a racist, but I have to say it. Among white people, when they fuck up like that, they all look at one another. If one of us hangs, so do we all. All right, just bury it and burn it, and make it go away. None of us need those fines and do prison time over shooting a fucking bird. That's just,
Nope.
it's a migratory bird. Fuck that noise. Let's just go.
I don't know if that's a white people thing. I think that's just a person that doesn't want to go to prison thing.
I have to point out, every time I've read a case file where something like this goes down, I hope our other co-host can attest to this, there's always somebody that comes out bragging that they did something stupid, and they always brag about it. It's like, hey man, we hurt this guy the other day and we stole his shit. Check it out, I'm wearing his sneakers. And you're like, yeah.
It's the human condition.
Yes.
Someone is always going to brag about something extraordinary just because they want to feel important. And the whole thing blows up. Next thing you know, more bodies pile up, stories get exaggerated, it makes it to a textbook. And next thing you know, after that, a TikTok gets made about it, debunking the whole thing and blowing up the case anyway. So there you go. It comes full circle.
And the other side, these are boomer people too. boomers that's why you're always hearing these stories that are unraveled over the years because boomer people got caught with some kind of fucking evidence that was somehow discovered, but they're like very good at keeping their mouth shut and not getting caught. I don't know why. Have you ever seen that movie A Christmas Story? Like the kid says it himself. He's like, they always tried to guilt trip you, but we always knew better. It was best not to get caught. That's like the mindset among these folks. Yeah, I'm gonna go around saying I killed a random bird. Yeah, no, we don't need that smoke.
Don't get
That
caught.
affects all my shit. We shot it, we buried it, we made it go away. Nobody found it.
Well, so the Mothman, just about every, at least like the old school renderings of the Mothman, from what I understand, 'cause like you showed us one of those original drawings. It looks like a bird. Does not look like a moth. The name Mothman was given to the creature by a copy editor as a direct reference to Batman, the Adam West series, which was popular at the time.
Cool.
And but today you see a lot of drawings of the Mothman where he's rendered like a moth, where he's got an antennae, like your background bolt. He's got these antennae on his head. Sometimes his eyes are drawn like compound eyes to make them look like an insect. But I don't think that there are any reports from 66 to 67 where people are reporting insect-like features. Like, I don't think it was ever described in real life as a humanoid insect or an insect like human.
Yeah, I didn't hear that neither. Again, people just they could see it was large. Its wingspan expanded pretty big. Mm-hmm. You know, it had red eyes, red glowing eyes, and even then to the crane theory as well. When that glow shines off of the red feathers, it can look like big, bright red eyes staring at you, and it looks pretty scary at night. So
yeah,
I'm always going to go with the logical of things. It's not some weird prophesying monster with abs and, you know, really weird eyes that somebody would find attractive and wings. It's not that. It was most likely a bird. It was most likely something that was deer that was average, but, you know, people in that part of the world tend to handle business and they know better to keep their mouth shut. There was another thing that a lot of people were pointing the finger at, and I had to actually look it up. Mm-hmm. So somebody was actually saying that it's an owl, but it might have been a mutant owl because there's a power plant near Point Pleasant, and that power plant might as well be the fucking Hawkins lab, the way people talk about it on the internet.
I was gonna say that reading some of these accounts, it gave me Stranger Things vibes.
Yeah, might as well be the fucking Hawkins lab, the way people just like slur that goddamn place. It's like the radiation poisoned the animals, and it's a mutant moth that grew big and had psionic powers and told everybody that was going to happen. I'm telling you, people, it's out there, folks. The Mothman is out there, and it's secretly telling us about all the horrible things that the Democrats are trying to do up on the hill. It's been out there since the 60s. The men in black have tried to get it. The Mothman was on Epstein's island and tried to warn us. It killed Epstein, folks. It's out there. The truth is there, and we need to pay attention before they come for us and they try to take away our amendments. That's the truth, folks. It's like everybody at that Hawkins power plant, they're not talking, and they know. They do, and they're afraid of me, folks, because I'm going to blow the lid on this whole thing. You just stay tuned and buy more colloidal silver. All right.
Hold on 1 second. Let me get this straight. You're telling me that people thought that an owl got involved with a chemical plant, mutated, and with that mutation was granted the ability of foresight and is trying to warn/haunt people with that ability. That's the story they're going with.
I mean, that sounds reasonable to me.
Okay, all right, I'm done. That's the most silliest thing I heard this year. I heard a lot of silly nonsense.
Much too silly. Much too silly.
So that's where you draw the line. You don't draw
Yeah,
the
that's where I draw
line
the line.
at, I'm sorry. I heard so many stupid things too. I just can't pick one. I just can't.
Oh,
Both,
it's
I heard too
again.
many stupid
both
things
It's
like,
again.
but both like, I've been doing this podcast for 60 episodes, and I draw the line at fortune-telling mutant owls. That's
Yep.
it.
Yes.
Like some guy, I swear to God on TikTok, it was the funniest shit ever. I just left like a laughing emoji comment on this thing, and I looked up Mothman. He's like, "Was it a mutant owl? Did you know that radiation at times when they're near they're near the Point Pleasant plant, they have their own genetic code?" I'm like, that has to be total shit. I remember this girl I dated who was like really deep into biology, like that's her major. She works now at the CDC and the Office for Research and Hygiene. She was like, you know how hard it is to fuck with genetic code? It is
Yes.
like the most difficult thing on the
Mhm.
fucking planet. That's like the blueprint, right? That's God's blueprint. You come and you say you remorph the fucking genetic code in something. That means that you are the next Nobel Prize winner because you literally just cracked the code to the fucking biological universe. So when this guy comes and says if your animals are drinking water, the offspring can grow up to 50% larger than the average animal, I'm like, that has to be bullshit. And I look it up
Well, see-
and it's never happened. No cases of that.
That's actually a little more reasonable, because birth defects can be associated with exposure to environmental stuff. But it's more likely that you're going to get like those extreme mutations when an embryo or a sex cell is exposed to radiation, because that's going to grow into many more cells, which have that mutation, and thus you have the mutation. Whereas with a fully formed, fully developed adult animal, like all of my cells already have their genes in them. So it's going to take, I'm not sure exactly what it would take to like give me a mutation just by like being exposed to something, because all of my cells are already grown and developed and already have the genes that they have.
Two questions. One, explain the future sight ability then from this mutation, and also if this was true, why didn't Adam West get any powers instead of just cancer?
Man, Sir West, you got lymphoma. Probably from rolling
He
around all
got-
that chemical waste.
Adam West got the power to be made fun of on multiple cartoons. You remember
So
there's
cancer,
Adam
got it.
West jokes on The Simpsons. There's
Yep.
Adam West jokes on Family Guy. There's Adam West jokes on Fairly Odd Parents, and he voices himself on all three of them. He
Oh
got
my
the power to make fun of himself, and I think that's a very worthy power.
That's sad. Comedians also have that same power too.
So that was like the way I heard it though. It was more or less somebody said the potential offspring. So what I'm hearing is owl jizz touches the power plant radiation, and then it can be born. It can then
Yes.
create mutant owls.
Yes.
So that means the Toxic Avenger is potentially real.
Well, the Toxic Avenger was an adult when he fell into that muck.
Yes. Yes.
I'm saying that if he had a kid after that, that kid might be the Toxic Avenger.
Cool. I just had this image of like this fucking baby being born with like the alien all fucked up and then like cutting off criminals' heads. Cool.
Yeah, because the genes, the genome is the instructions on how to build the organism. If the organism is already built, then you don't have the same kind of mutation that can happen when sex cells or an embryo is exposed to some kind of environmental abnormality. I think I'm getting that right. I might be wrong. I am scientifically literate, but I'm not a geneticist. I'm not a biologist.
So what I read
See.
was when it came to mutations, the mutations it might get are going to leave it dysfunctional. It's not going to have some kind of like super like growth issue or something like that. it would leave it more or less like a wing that doesn't develop all the way because the blood is maybe moving somewhere else.
Right.
An eye doesn't work, a deformed head. Like a lot of these things don't lead to a perfectly bigger specimen. Some mutations even lead to just different colored eyes, which is a very common one out there. Like if you look at, or it's in a regular eye. But to make something 2 or 3 times bigger, that's just too perfect for it to work. It has to almost be engineered, and it's tough to engineer something that's going to be 3, 4, 5 times the size of what it really is. So the mutant owl theory, I'm just going to throw that out there. The other one I'm going to toss out is that I don't believe it when people say they saw the Men in Black all the time. And
I didn't get to read it. I didn't get to read about any of that. Why don't you tell us about that?
So there's like 1 or 2 dudes that pop up in the fucking Shyster's book who says that mysterious men in black were asking about the sightings and that they went to the police to tell them about it, but that the police did nothing and the news didn't say anything. So pretty much what wound up happening was they're saying that some mysterious men that did not look human, you know, the fucking pie. It's all one thing. One day we have to highlight the Men in Black. Like, there's just so many stories about them that's just funny after a while. So they come in, they ask questions, they're really mean, they look like plastic mannequins, they turn around and walk away. So, and then that's the end of the story, right? Like, there's 2 or 3 people. The cops didn't really get any reports about this when asked. Nobody saw shit. But apparently there were even Men in Black. And I think like what's weird is that the stories of the Men in Black start popping up in the 70s around the time the book is being written. And nothing at that time was like even saying, hey, the sheriff was our local buddy. Let's go ask him who the fuck these people are asking questions in his backyard. Nah, they didn't ask. They didn't do any of that. They just said, boy, were they mean. Let's tell some random stranger when he knocks on our door to write a tell-all book that, you know, we encountered the Men in Black. So I'm going to throw that one out the window. There were no Men in Black officially confirmed sightings. And whenever anybody says that they saw the Men in Black, it's usually something else. Like, I'll tell you what my theory on the Men in Black is, the most plausible theory. The Men in Black are Air Force agents because most of the time they respond for UFOs. When they respond for a UFO, if there was a Men in Black out here, it's because somebody saw an odd, unidentified flying object in the sky, which is the red lights or the red eyes. Men in Black probably showed up to check, hey, something was unauthorized flying in our area. Oh, sir, just a bird. Got you. Turn around and leave. Every time you hear these stories, it's always something like that. That's another thing we'll talk about another day. But as for these, I'm hearing the same fucking thing. They asked questions, and at the same time, the bridge collapsed. There were no Men in Black. Guy made it up. Nobody came here to go see this place. Nothing was happening. It's just a lot of weird shit that happened to coincide with the terrible tragedy, and I feel bad for the people in the tragedy because their death and all these horrible things are overshadowed by a fucking bird monster that nobody confirmed or saw. They're doing it, folks, to hide the fact that they engineered that crash on the bridge. And they're using the Mothman as a cover-up story to tell you to go ahead and keep buying stuff for Christmas because that Mothman is out there and they're not going to divert my attention from looking for him by looking over at the bridge. That was all a plan. Sandy Hook, folks. Think about it.
Well, but the town of Point Pleasant has not shied away from acknowledging this history of Mothman, and Bolt, you had something to say about that.
Yeah, it's messed up that some mythological creature that may or may not exist gets a statue when people die on a bridge. What the hell is with that? Like, you don't see like school shooters getting statues and memorial festivals in their name. What the hell is this? Why is he special?
Oh, see, the Mothman did not perpetuate the Silver Bridge event. Maybe some people think that he did, but the more common interpretation is that the Mothman was an omen that was foretelling the collapse of the Silver Bridge, or maybe he was even trying to warn people about the collapse of the Silver Bridge. So, Mothman didn't.
Mothman is a goddamn hero, and I don't want to hear anything about it.
And the Mothman's a hero, and I'll be damned if I'm gonna have you say something bad about him.
You communist. It was the 60s. So you're wearing a red shirt. You're a commie.
Where's your patriotism? I see red.
The Mothman, Bigfoot, Chupacabra, and Loch Ness Monster are all members of the Communist Party.
Wait, you said Bigfoot? All right. We will take Bigfoot off your hands.
Well, okay. All right, folks. What they don't want to tell you is that the Bigfoot is a Russian spy. It's one of those Yeti monsters from the mountains of Russia that they dropped in here to spy and observe and tell us how to destroy our country from the inside. And it's a democratic hoax, folks. I'm telling you, think about it.
Well, two things. One, just the viewer had a point. If Mothman was trying to warn people, he did a shit job. He should not deserve a statue or memorial celebration. That should just cut that shit out. And two, it's second point.
It's too stupid and insane to wrap your brain around it. I know.
Yeah.
Insanity.
Insanity, man. Yeah, well, if I may, there are many towns in this fair country of ours that know how to cash in on on their tragic history, and so I mean, like Salem, Massachusetts, perfect example. You go there, it's just totally cashed in on witch stuff. Like tours, haunted houses, witch stuff, just all over the place. And I think Point Pleasant has followed a similar model. You know, like the bridge was tragic. 46 people died. Very, very not good. But associated with that time is also this fun creature, the Mothman. So they, make a statue, make a museum, do Mothman stuff. It's fun.
That sounds so eerie and morbid. I don't know where to begin with that. Oh, man.
Well, isn't there a town out somewhere where it's Lake Champ and they have like a monster that's the Champ, like Loch Ness? It's like the American. It's so unoriginal. It's like a knockoff of the fucking Loch Ness monster. It's the American Loch Ness monster is what it is.
It's a total ripoff.
It's 100%.
Yeah.
Like, well, those Scottish bastards could go ahead and create their own fake monster. I can't see why we can't. I know we got a lake here. Nobody wants to see it. So they stole a monster.
Most of the time, I think the American version is better. The American office is better than the British office, but the Scottish lake monster is better than the American one. I'll admit that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we lost a sponsor.
We lost a few people there. That's all right.
Yeah.
That's fine. In a couple of
Our
days,
numbers
I'm
are
going to
starting to get to a point where our numbers are starting to get to a point where we can burn a few listeners. That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Burned several.
I burned a bunch and I called Jamie Lee Curtis a whore. Yes, I said the exact kind of words.
See, with that one, I feel like we would gain as many people as we lose, so we would break even with things like that.
Yes.
Yes.
But no. Yes. So, final thoughts, in my opinion, on this one. I honestly think this is one of those times. The Mothman was not real. When I was a kid, I wanted to believe the Mothman was real, but honestly, I don't think the Mothman was real. I think he was concocted by the JCs. But more or less, I think he was more or less just made up and misunderstood. So is Nessie an evolution of the Brachii, or is she just an immortal dinosaur? If there was a body for Nessie, they would have found it by now. But in all fairness, I honestly think... No, I'm reading the chat. My bad. Surfer669. Just asking questions in chat. But no, by my original point, I honestly think if there would have been a Mothman, we would have seen it in other towns in the area, but other towns in the area didn't see anything. You know, like it's after that bridge fell. What do most birds do when something happens? They fuck off and go make a nest somewhere else. You didn't really see a nest anywhere else. Like it's just you didn't hear it 2 towns over. It's them saying they're seeing now a weird sighting or them shoot something and just call it a day. Like it to me, it was nothing happened. The town did the wise thing. They put a little statue up. It makes everybody feel better about the tragedy. They move on, and they now use it as a tourism thing to attract tourism to the town. The dude, though,
and you can see it as exploitation, or you can see it as honoring the memory of the people that died in that tragedy. Like I've been thinking about this actually, like where the line between exploitation and just honoring something is. And it's subjective ultimately. You can think it's them exploiting that memory, or you can think it's them honoring that memory. I think it kind of just is up to your reaction to it, but
that's in the eye of the beholder.
It's in the eye of the beholder, exactly.
Yeah, because one thing I remember when I was in college, I heard about there was a painting of this famous president where I remember when he was shot before the painting was commissioned, it was finished, but then he was shot. I think it was McKinley, one of these guys. And then when he died, they're like, I already drew the picture. Is it wrong for me to debut it? Because, I already drew the picture, portrait is done. And they turned around and said, just do it. Like, it was for him. Just do it. They revealed the painting. When it comes to what they're saying in chat, profit margins, that's where I get to be a bit like, yeah, if you're making money off of it, you're not doing something with that money towards something better, like you're just collecting it in. That's where we hit like a weird sort of mixed ground, right? Like, I don't like to use this one as too recent, but the guy who was mostly recently assassinated, they're asking to donate to the company. That's not a charity organization. That's a private entity that they use that to run their business. It's like profit for them. That's why I'm a little like, that's not cool, but you can do whatever you want with your money, to each his own. But that's where I think that's where the exploitation line falls in. But I don't think they're exploiting any of the families or nothing. Mothman is just Mothman, and it's what it is. I think the guy who wrote the book was being exploitive a bit, because that went to him, and he was making shit up and merging shit up.
That guy had some crazy ideas.
Is it so crazy or is it sane?
No, actually, some of his ideas were starting to like feel a little Alex Jonesy. So he had this theory of, let's see, it wasn't extraterrestrial, but ultra-terrestrial. So his idea was that UFOs were not extraterrestrial, as in from outer space.
I know.
He thought they were
dimension.
Ultra-terrestrial, as in they were from a different dimension. So he was like, I'm skeptical of this UFO stuff. I don't think they're from outer space, which is a place that we know exists. I think they're from a different dimension. See, it's very interesting when you find someone who comes up with an explanation that is less parsimonious, less adherent to Occam's razor than aliens from outer space. Because again, like, at least with aliens from outer space, we know that outer space exists, but we don't know that other dimensions exist. So that's like, it's like an even crazier idea on where they come from.
Yep. Was that just responding to a collective or something?
How about that rumor that the center of the Earth holds another dimension?
Oh God, let's not get on that one. We have only a few more minutes left, but here's what I think.
It deserves its own episode.
Yeah, a few of these things deserve their own episode. I actually think that might be the theme of 2026. Let's go after the weird conspiracy theories and just roll with it.
Yeah.
Yay!
So, here's to Mothman.
Oh man, I didn't bring my whiskey up.
Spread your wings. Everybody spread your wings like Mothman.
Oh man.
Take flight. Embrace
Spread
life.
your cheeks and just go to town.
That's a good place to end. Yeah.
That's a good place to
you were so restrained this episode with the soundboard. I appreciate that. But that was well placed.
Yes,
that was well placed.
I couldn't say no to that opportunity. But you know why? Because people were actually hurt in real life when this thing went down. Yes, here's to the people who died on that bridge. Cheers.
Cheers.
Those poor folks.
And
like,
also,
that's why I was restrained. I'm like, this is an actual real tragedy. I don't think it's too cruel to make fun of that. But I will make fun of the asshole who made fun of the Mothman. Yep.
The other thing is that in my research, a writer who's covered this topic pretty thoroughly is Lauren Coleman. Lauren Coleman is a cryptozoologist. He's probably the most well-regarded cryptozoologist, if there is such a thing. But yeah, I mean, he has an academic background. He's a good writer, and he's probably one of the more respectable people in the field. He actually owns the International Cryptozoology Museum in Portland, Maine, which eventually that's going to be moved to Bangor. I think that was supposed to happen this year. I'm not sure what the update on that is. Anyway, but Lauren Coleman wrote 2 books on this topic, or one book that covers the topic in part, and another book that was sort of a response to the movie. But he's covered this topic pretty thoroughly, and he's spoken with many of the eyewitnesses, and he said that I believe it was the second eyewitness, whose name was. One sec. Marcella Bennett. He said that Marcella Bennett still feels fear when she looks up at the night sky, and I think this is from an interview from like 2009 that I was reading. So fairly recent interview for events that happened in the late 60s. But yeah, he said that she still feels fear when she looks up at the night sky, and how the first witness, Linda Scarberry, she had to get medical attention after this encounter, and she changed her name to hide from public scrutiny. So like these, I also don't believe that there was an actual Mothman. But I do believe that there are people that think there was, and it really had an impact on their lives. It had a traumatic impact on at least 2 people's lives. So I think that's also worth noting that people have very different experiences with these events. We talk about it on a podcast. Some people make a museum out of it, but for some people, through no fault of their own, it was a very, very terrifying experience that followed them for the rest of their lives. So that's just worth noting.
Yeah. All right. I am going to then go ahead and end our experience here on the Mothman.
Mothman. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Make sure something. I think this episode is good. I'm getting a notice we're going to get flagged on something. I don't know what. So I'm going to have to edit it and tweak it. But either way, guys, I don't know. But I'm going to end the stream here. Delist.
We didn't even
bring it back. I know, but I'm going to delist